Did you guys know that Jay-Z's birthday is December 4th, Diddy's birthday is November 4th, and Beyonce's birthday is September 4th? Jay-Z had an album 444, Leah died August 25th, Left Eye died April 25th, Michael Jackson died June 25th. In J. Cole's song, he says, "Rest in peace, Aaliyah, rest in peace, Left Eye, Michael Jackson, I'll see ya, just as soon as I die."
Today we're looking at TikToks that you should not watch at night.
A 77-year-old man in Mexico received a terrifying demand from the cartel: abandon your home or die. But Alejo Garza Tamez wasn't just an ordinary man. He had built his ranch with his own hands, and no cartel was going to take it from him. So he doesn't call for help, he doesn't pack his bags. Instead, he carefully prepares for battle.
Welcome back. Thank you to all the channel members for support. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Make sure to smash that subscribe button. Let's try to get to 3,000 likes this video. You guys have been liking my last couple videos, so if you see this, like it. Let's go.
Let's talk about one of the most unsettling videos out on the internet. The backyard humanoid creature video. If you're anywhere close to a backyard or a window, maybe it's not a good idea to watch this right now. But before I show you a bit of the video, let's break it down a little bit. On August 12th, 2017, user Richard Grebenik uploaded what many claim to be one of the most unsettling videos on the internet, called Evil Creature Caught on Tape by Rick Grebenik. And in the video, he'd be hanging out by his backyard, at night of course, and suddenly he'd see a strange white pale humanoid creature approaching him and staring at him. The video is actually quite unsettling, like he's panicking and he's on the phone with his pastor. Let me just show you, okay? If you can't see it, turn up your brightness. Here it is.
Hey Mike, I need you. This thing is freaky. It's on video. Huh?
Not a person?
No, it's an evil identity. It's evil entity. This thing's like wicked looking. You should see this thing, Mike. Oh my god. Like a gargoyle. It's like a gargoyle, man. Oh my gosh.
I command you to go in Jesus' name.
Yeah, no, if I saw that in my backyard, I would pass away on the spot. But don't worry, at the end, the pastor does a chant and it goes away.
And this thing is, oh my gosh. Oh my.
Yeah, I don't know what he said either. But people in the comments are freaking out, saying, damn, even if it's fake, it's really creepy. Even some people relating to what Rick saw. Like, pause to read. What makes this video somewhat more believable, the fact that if you go to Rick's page, it is a totally normal page. Like, he just uploads himself singing. And that's the only weird video. Yeah, listen, fake or not, you gotta admit that if you saw that yourself in your backyard, you would also freak out. Like, if that's an actual human, that's terrifying. If that's like a humanoid creature, that's also even more terrifying. What do you guys think? Did Rick just make this video to go viral and have more views on his other videos? Or did Rick really encounter a strange, unknown creature that night? Let me know.
Creepy TikToks that you should never watch alone, Part 1.
Alright, so I'm sitting here playing Rocket League at the moment. Every time I'm here by myself, I swear this place is haunted. I've been fucking around with Ouija boards and I was stupid enough to bloody invite demons to possess me and shit because I didn't believe in it. But ever since then, every time I'm here by myself, I hear shit outside. So I'm playing Rocket League. It's fucking... Oh, did you hear that? Oh, what the f... No way. No fucking way. Hello? Is anybody here? Holy shit, why is that fucking moving? Hello? Is anybody here?
Notice how the camera is
God,
affected.
What the fuck?
This is very common in hauntings.
No Hello? I heard you. No. No fucking way. No fucking way. Oh my god, hello? Man, I swear I just saw a fucking shadow moving here. So what's this fucking light switch? Oh man, I'm absolutely f***ing myself. No. That can't be. No, this on. Oh no. No, f this, I'm out of here. Goodbye.
Here's another scary video you need to see.
Okay, so I was in my room, I just heard a loud ass bang, and I know I have to record it so someone can believe me. Hello? That's my sister's dog. What the f?
Not me throwing my phone when I saw it. Holy.
I want to talk about the O'Fallon footage. On the eastern side of Missouri, a tape was recovered from a camera recorder of a missing man in 2002. This photo found in the footage has marked the most chilling mystery to have ever come out of this county. The man is pictured here. His name was Roy Hafer, and he was sort of an amateur investigator. You know, he would go to scenes with recent crimes, places where he could film, and he could sell the footage hopefully to a news station. And on an evening where he ventured to a hotspot where a woman had gone missing just a year prior, he would never make it home from that abandoned house. A police search was conducted by the following morning, as well as a search of the abandoned home and a search of this underpass where a significant amount of blood was recovered, but his body was not. They would also go on to find his camera recorder where they would find that final footage. This was the face seen in the last frame of that video footage.
These are videos you can never watch at night. Okay, so we all know how there's some videos you just can't watch at night because they're that scary. Well, in this series, I'll be showing you all those videos, so be ready to get scared. Okay, so yeah, after watching that video, I'm definitely not sleeping tonight. What even is that thing? And just imagine you just see it crawling in your room right now. All I gotta say is I wish you the best sleeping tonight, because I'm telling you this much, I'm gonna have trouble.
Dude, that thing looked insane, dude. That looked something like almost from a movie. It might have been something from a movie, but like, yeah, nah.
Do not watch this video at night. This will freak you out. In the photo behind me is a man named Cody. And while he was home by himself, he was starting to experience some very odd things. He was hearing noises, and it was pretty clear that he thought someone was in the house. And by the way, the footage that I'm about to show you was recorded by him. When he walked over to the bathroom, the lights were flickering. But not only were the lights flickering, but the faucet was on, so he turned the faucet off and left. At this point, Cody got pretty freaked out, so he went outside and called his wife and let her know what was happening. His wife insisted that he would stay outside, however, Cody decided to go back in and do some more filming. When he went back inside, the entire kitchen was a complete mess. Cupboards were open and things were thrown around as seen in this photo, and this right here is the clip of him first walking in. When Cody watched this clip back, he saw something absolutely terrifying in one of the frames. This is the still frame, can you see it? This is what he saw looking out from the corner of his daughter's bedroom door. If I were Cody, I'd be selling my house and moving out immediately. Do not watch this video at night. This will freak you out. After hearing this story, you'll be checking underneath your bed before you go to sleep every single night. This story is from 7 years ago, and it starts as follows. A 22-year-old woman was getting ready to go to bed. Before going to bed, she decided to go collect the mail before coming back. The woman then laid down on her bed and started talking on the phone to her boyfriend. A few seconds later, she ended up dropping her phone off the side of her bed, so of course she bent down to pick it up. But as she bent down to pick it up, she noticed something very unusual and very creepy. She saw a man underneath the bed facing away from her in the opposite direction. As to not let the guy know that she had seen him, she decided to pick up the phone and tell her boyfriend that she was going to go to the shower. When she got into the bathroom, she locked the door, turned on the shower, and climbed out the window. Once on the ground, she called 911 and they arrived on scene. The man that the police had ended up dragging out from her apartment turned out to be a very thin, wiry, and creepy looking guy. The most horrifying part about it, though, is that the police officers told her that after she had gone to the bathroom, he was found standing outside of the bathroom door with a knife in his hand, getting ready to do some unspeakable things. As it turns out, the man had found his way in after she had gone to collect the mail and left her apartment door open for just a few minutes. Have fun sleeping tonight. Did you check underneath the bed?
This is why I be telling you guys, man, you gotta make sure you lock them doors. Cause she just left it open for a few minutes and he snuck in. That's crazy. I mean, in that situation, that's like a rare case. Like, I don't necessarily think, like, if you leave it open for, like, a few minutes, someone's gonna sneak in. Unless you have a stalker. But still, you just gotta always make sure your doors are locked.
These are scary videos you should never watch at night. Okay, so the video I'm about to show you shows a kid who was home alone one night when something or somebody started knocking on his door saying it was his mother. But the thing is, his mom wasn't even home because she was working the night shift. And the way it's knocking and sounding make it sound so demonic. Let me know what you think this is because it's absolutely disturbing.
Gabe? Gabe, it's your mom. You should come out. You've been in there for so long. Gabe, come out. Gabe, it's your mother. You should come out.
Then what's your name then?
That's actually very trippy and scary, and it almost sounds like a parrot. Like, you guys ever heard those birds talk? It almost sounds like a parrot talking, and people don't really talk like that. So whatever ghost that was trying to trick bro, worse. Like, it just wouldn't have worked.
This is one case that still haunts me. The story of the disappearance of Jason Jolkowski is one of the weirdest things that you'll ever read about, and it's haunting because to this day, this mystery has never been solved. So let's take a look at it. So this is Jason Jolkowski. He was born in 1981 and lived in Omaha, Nebraska all his life. And this story takes place in 2001. So on Wednesday, June 13th, 2001, Jason was called into work early. So initially, Jason planned on walking to his job, which was 4 miles away, due to the fact that his car was in a repair shop that day. But he eventually made plans for a friend to meet him at a high school that was nearby. So this high school, Benson High School in Omaha, Nebraska, was only half a mile from Jason's house. Literally an 8-block walk, and that's where his friend was supposed to meet him. So just take a look at this photo. This is the exact route that Jason was going to take to the high school. It's only a 10-minute walk, and keep in mind, he was about to make this walk in the middle of the morning in broad daylight. In a city like Omaha, Nebraska, where crimes like disappearances and murders don't really happen all that frequently. So at 10:45 a.m. that morning, a neighbor saw Jason helping his younger brother with the trash outside of his home, and at some point right after that, he left to go on this walk to go meet his friend. And during this walk, Jason vanished off the face of the earth. So to this day, no trace of Jason has ever been found. There were no remains ever recovered. Nobody has seen anybody that's ever looked like Jason. Nobody reported seeing somebody being abducted on the day that he went missing. Nobody even reported seeing anything out of the ordinary. It's as if he simply vanished literally into thin air. They even checked the security camera footage from the school that he was supposed to be walking to that day, and the security camera videos showed that Jason never arrived. It was somewhere on that half-a-mile walk when he vanished. Now, Jason's parents have suggested that they believe he may have been abducted and killed, but with no body ever having been found, that theory is just really hard to prove. And yeah, it's been over 20 years since this happened, and no trace of Jason has ever been found. That's why it's a case that will haunt me. I mean, it's just scary to think that you can be making a half-a-mile walk in the middle of the day, in the middle of your city, and go missing, and no one will ever even find a piece of your clothing.
If you see someone with a face like this, run as fast as you can and don't look back. Oh shit.
Huh? What? What's wrong with you?
But before showing you the end of this video, I advise you to check if your phone is not being spied on by clicking here then on more. If you see this app, delete it immediately. So, John was driving home late at night when suddenly a woman with a distorted and barely recognizable face appeared in the middle of the road. Forcing him to stop, she claimed that something had taken her son. Fam, her terror was real. Her voice trembled with every word. John was shocked, paralyzed by uncertainty about how to respond. Oh shit. Observing her strange deformed features, he realized she was more than just a desperate mother, but something much more sinister. Unbeknownst to him, this woman was the host of a sinister entity. John was truly frightened. Now watch what happens next in this video. Remember to follow us and save this video if you want to be protected.
The apple! What?
Let me ask you a brief question. If you guys watch horror movies, which one is your favorite? If any of you said The Conjuring, then I'll bet you knew that it's based on a real story, but if you didn't, here's the summarized version. So this TikTok slide shows one that I was tagged in, where it shows the original Conjuring house for the first slide. The second slide shows the original Conjuring family, known as the Perron family, and the third slide shows this creepy girl right here. Now, in 1971, the Perron family ended up moving into a 14-bedroom farmhouse that had been occupied by many other people for many generations before. Over time, they noticed unexplainable events happening, like things going missing, and these would only get progressively worse over time. After studying the history of the house, they realized that somebody that used to live there studied Satanism, and this was their grave right here. A short while later, the real Ed and Lorraine, both of them paranormal investigators, ended up going to the house and conducting a seance, where reportedly Carolyn Perron ended up becoming possessed. Now, this is a highly paraphrased version of this story, but if you guys want to, you should read the entire one. Just don't do it at night.
Did you know that since the year 2000, nearly 200 people have been reported missing on cruise ships? Only 10% of them are ever resolved, and only 15 to 20% of them are ever reported on. Cruise ships are not legally required to make public the disappearances that happen on their cruise ships, and this makes things very complicated for families who are looking for their loved ones. That is exactly what happened to Rebecca Corium. Rebecca was just 24 years old when she was hired by Disney to work on their cruise ships. She spent a few months at their Disney park in Orlando, Florida to get some training before spending 4 months on a boat that went to the Bahamas. After that 4-month time, she went back to England to spend some time with her family before going back to Los Angeles to get on the Disney Wonder. This is the boat that Rebecca would be working on, and she was hired to work with children. March 22nd of 2011 would be the last time Rebecca was ever seen. Rebecca was seen on CCTV footage in the employee lounge talking on an internal phone line. This was about 5:45 in the morning. She is seen wearing men's clothing and looking visibly distressed. Rebecca would hang up the phone and simply vanish into thin air. When Rebecca didn't show up to her 9 a.m. shift, the employees immediately started searching the ship for her. When they were unable to find Rebecca, they did call the Coast Guard, the United States Coast Guard, and also the Mexican Navy. The ship was en route from Los Angeles to Mexico. Under the flag of convenience system, the jurisdiction of the missing persons case would fall under whoever the boat was registered to. And a lot of these cruise lines register these boats in the Bahamas because apparently it is a tax haven. But Disney would not report Rebecca missing for 3 days. They waited 3 days to call the Bahamas Police Department to report Rebecca missing. The Bahamas Police Department did send out one investigator. This one investigator spent 1 day on the Disney Wonder and interviewed 6 of the 950 employees and none of the 2,000 vacationers. It was several days after this that the family was brought out to come check out the Disney Wonder ship, and they were treated as they described as Disney style. They were brought to the boat in blacked out car and were brought into the back entrance of the boat and then allowed to search the area. They were also shown CCTV footage of Rebecca where she did appear to be fine. The captain told Rebecca's family that he believed that Rebecca had been swept up by a rogue wave on deck 5. But when the family was brought to deck 5, it was on the bridge of the ship and there was an employee swimming pool, and the entire area was guarded by a 6-foot tall wall. They were then taken to Rebecca's cabin where they showed her family a flip-flop that they had allegedly found on deck 5 that allegedly belonged to Rebecca. The very next day, Rebecca's family watched as the Disney Wonder set out for another cruise, a brand new cruise with a whole new set of passengers. Allegedly, they put out a little memorial on deck 5 for Rebecca and had like a little ceremony for her. But it seems like they just kind of want to sweep this under the rug, while the Bahamas police did still consider it an open investigation. Rebecca's family is obviously very upset with how this investigation unfolded. I would have been too. But according to Rebecca's father, when they alerted the American Coast Guard and the Mexican Navy, it seems like Disney might have given them the wrong coordinates, so they were searching the wrong area of the ocean. On top of that, allegedly, it was Disney's policy to turn the boat around if they thought someone had been swept up by a rogue wave, and this is not something that happened. Now, I am unsure if that is official, if that is Disney's policy, but that's what was being reported on. The family did hire a private investigator to look into Rebecca's disappearance, and he was able to find that the CCTV footage that the family was provided seemed to be cropped so that the timestamp was taken out of it. The private investigator was also able to find that the CCTV footage was not in the location that Disney claimed it to be. They claimed that this all happened on deck 5, but it was more than likely on deck 1, nowhere near where Rebecca was supposedly swept away by this rogue wave. But the family has asked for copies of the CCTV footage, and they have never been provided it. And this sandal that allegedly belonged to Rebecca that was found on deck 5 wasn't even her shoe size, and it wasn't the style that she would normally buy. And allegedly, the cabin that they were taken to investigate, when they were able to board the ship, that wasn't even Rebecca's cabin. When other Disney employees have been asked about Rebecca's disappearance, they've said that it just simply didn't happen, and that was the answer that they had to give. There was one coworker that implied that Rebecca might have done this to herself because of a messy relationship that was going on, but her family denies this. They say that Rebecca would never do something like this to herself. And then in 2016, there was a pair of ripped shorts that were found among Rebecca's personal effects, and her family believes that there might have, or that this could point to a sign of struggle or something happening before her disappearance. And just months after her disappearance, there was activity in her bank account, and also there were changes made to her social media platforms, like password changes. But there have been no signs of Rebecca since, and she simply vanished into thin air, and it seems like all of this is just being covered up. But what are your thoughts on this case? Let me know down in the comments and follow for more true crime.
They said that Disney had a turnaround policy, like if someone gets get hit by a rogue wave, I guess, but they didn't turn around. They just called the Coast Guard to the complete wrong location, which is actually crazy. But yeah, that was a very interesting story. I've never personally been on a cruise, but if you guys have ever been on a cruise, let me know your thoughts about them in the comments.
I don't usually come across a story that genuinely scares me, but this one does, because it involves a woman who disappears in the remote wilderness, and she is presumed dead. But over the next year, multiple people have claimed to see her, or possibly her ghost, in the area where she went missing. And each time they see her, she looks distorted and in a worse condition. This is the mysterious disappearance of Sandra Hughes, and I promise you it will freak you out. So let's talk about it. Sandra Hughes was a 54-year-old woman who loved the outdoors, so when the pandemic first started, she took the opportunity to solo travel and spend a lot of time in the wilderness by herself. Sandra last spoke with her family on June 26, 2020, and this is when she told them that she was going to camp alone in the Sierra National Forest. She was really excited as she had spent the last 6 months in California, often camping alone and gaining a lot of experience in the outdoors. She was actually known to be an outdoor expert and a survivalist, so when she told her family about her upcoming solo camping trip in the Sierra National Forest, they weren't too worried. So off Sandra went, but it wasn't long into the trip that things started to go wrong, and no one could have expected what was about to happen to her or other campers in the area for years to come. On July 1st, 2020, a couple of campers were hiking near Johnson Meadows just above Bass Lake in the Sierra National Forest when they stumbled across an abandoned campsite. It was a really eerie scene because it looked like the campsite had been completely destroyed, and a bunch of things were kind of just strewn around. The campers then found a folder that contained some important documents, like a birth certificate and a social security card. With the campsite being destroyed like this, the campers felt like something was really wrong. So they called police to report this, and when authorities arrived, they found that the campsite and documents belonged to Sandra Hughes. At this point in time, Sandra wasn't a missing person, but they did find it odd that all of her personal belongings were just abandoned like that. So they started to look for her to see if she was okay. Nothing immediate was found, but then 3 days later, Sandra was spotted. And this is when the story starts to get strange. So on July 4th, Sandra ended up crashing her car near the Chiquito Pass trailhead in Madera County. This wasn't far from her abandoned campsite, and it didn't appear that the crash was that bad. Other campers were around when it happened, and according to them, Sandra somehow collided with a tree, and her car ended up high-centered on a stump in a ravine. Based on witnesses and the damage to her car, Sandra wasn't going very fast at the time of the crash. Since other campers were around, they offered to help her, but Sandra refused, saying she was okay. She was then seen walking into the woods alone, and what happened after this has never been explained. It was at this point that Sandra was officially reported missing, and authorities became more concerned after her car crash. A massive search was launched for Sandra, and over the next few days, she was seen 2 more times by separate campers. They each said that she was barefoot and had a bruise on her face. At the time, the campers didn't know that she was a missing person, but they did try to ask if she was okay or if she needed help because she looked a little distressed. According to them, Sandra seemed like she wasn't there, and she ignored anyone that tried to talk to her, continuing to walk deeper into the woods alone. This is when authorities thought that Sandra may have suffered a head injury after her crash just due to her bizarre behavior over those few days. Like I said, she wasn't going very fast at the time she crashed, and the damage to her car suggests that it wasn't that bad of a wreck, and those who talked to Sandra right after the fact said that she didn't appear injured. But I guess if you have a head injury, sometimes it's not always that easy to tell. So authorities cracked down on their search and brought in multiple different agencies, tracking dogs, and even searched for Sandra by air. But at first, nothing was found. Then a few days later, search and rescue found Sandra's sleeping bag inside Yosemite National Park, just 2.5 miles from the crash site. The sleeping bag matched her recent REI purchase, so they knew this belonged to Sandra, but she was still nowhere to be found, and authorities started to lose hope that she would be found alive. Then, seemingly out of nowhere a month later, Sandra was seen by 2 hunters. They are pretty adamant that it was her, and they saw her leaning against a tree near where she crashed her car a month earlier. The hunter said that she made eye contact with them, but didn't try waving them down for help, and at this point in time, she didn't look distressed or anything. They did say that she was noticeably thinner than her last known photos on her missing person poster though. After this, Sandra's case kind of went cold again, and to make things more difficult, a massive fire broke out in this exact area in September of 2020, and it lasted months. This burned up any potential evidence and quite literally changed the terrain, but surprisingly, Sandra's car didn't burn at all. Authorities had left it in the same spot where it crashed, hoping Sandra would return to it, because with her outdoor experience and multiple sightings, it really did seem like she was still alive out there somewhere. But after the fire and it being untouched, authorities then removed it since it was clear that Sandra would not be coming back to it. There would be no movement in this case until almost exactly 1 year after Sandra's disappearance, and what I'm about to say is genuinely so creepy. I get goosebumps every time I talk about it. So in July of 2021, a family decided to go camping in the Shut-Eye Peak area. They brought up their 4-wheeler, so it was going to be a really fun time. Or so they thought. About halfway through the day, they stopped to eat lunch, and this is when their 3-year-old son started pointing out their car window into an open meadow. He told his parents that there was a woman laying face down with her legs straight up in the air in the middle of the meadow. This 3-year-old said that the woman was dead and she wasn't able to talk or move, but she needed their help. This freaked his parents out really bad, so they went to go look around the meadow fully expecting to see a dead body, but no one was there. When they went back to the car, the 3-year-old proceeded to say that the woman was still there in the exact same spot, and he was pointing directly at her. The woman was wearing a black shirt and jeans, and she had blue hair. And unbeknownst to him, this was exactly Sandra's description to a T at the time she went missing. He just kept repeating that this woman was dead and that she needed their help, so this freaked his parents out enough to make them pack up early and head home since they couldn't see anyone. When they got home, they decided to post their experience on Facebook to see if anyone knew anything about the area, and this is when they found out about Sandra Hughes, who matched the ghost description to a T. They then found out that she disappeared within 5 miles of where they were in the woods. So the parents gave this little boy a bunch of photos, some including Sandra, and he picked Sandra out as the woman he saw in the meadow immediately 3 separate times. The Madera County Sheriff's Office somehow saw this post online and actually contacted the family for more information. Sandra's case was still unsolved, so they thought it couldn't hurt to investigate this tip, even if it was paranormal. So the police, the little boy's dad, and the little boy went back out to where he had seen this dead woman / ghost, and authorities swept the area for literally anything, but they found absolutely nothing. Over the years, there have been multiple searches for Sandra, but it's like she vanished into thin air. Her family says that she was extremely organized and tidy, and she would have never left her campsite abandoned like that. There are a few theories as to what could have happened to her, ranging from accidentally dying of exposure, whether it was from a head injury or not. She could have been met with foul play at some point, or she could still possibly be alive out there somewhere, although the chances of that are slim. And some people believe that her ghost is now haunting the wilderness where she was last seen, and that all of those sightings of her are real. I personally do believe in ghosts, but I'm not entirely sure what to believe in this case. Regardless, it's now been 5 years since Sandra disappeared, and whatever happened to her out there in the Sierra National Forest remains a mystery.
Level 1. Total physical entrapment. Imagine you're stuck 1,000 feet underground. You can't go forward, you can't turn around, you can't even scratch your own nose. This is the lowest level of freedom a human can reach. At this level, it doesn't matter who you are. Your net worth might be 10 billion or 0. It's irrelevant. The only thing that matters is that you can't move. Most of you will never experience level 1. You're probably stuck at level 3 or 4, but we'll get to that later. Level 1 isn't about politics or money. It's when your own body becomes the prison. Just think about it. If you can't move at all, what freedom do you really have? It's not only caves that puts you at level 1. Let's say you're strapped up in a contraption. Physical restraint so tight you can only move your eyes. Doesn't matter if you're the most powerful person in the world. Your freedom is now in the hands of the person with the key. They control you and decide your fate. This level is actually not as rare as you might think. We got locked-in syndrome, where you are conscious and aware but cannot move or communicate. We also have total paralysis, sleep paralysis, drug-induced paralysis. There are actually quite a few ways you can drop down to level 1 quite quickly. All it takes is a syringe. Thankfully, most of level 1 is temporary. A drug will wear off, and you'll probably be freed from your restraints eventually. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how rich, how important. At this level, we are all equals. So if you're lucky enough to choose your own movement, don't take it lightly. You've already escaped the bottom. The only question now is, how far up can you go? Level 2, controlled by force. You've escaped total physical entrapment. Your body works again. You can move, you can speak, you can scratch your nose, but now you face a new kind of trap. Control. One of the clearest examples of this is prison. In an American prison, you're not paralyzed. You're alive and active, but every part of your life is managed. Your movement, your time, your voice. You wake up when you're told. You eat when the schedule allows. You're monitored, searched, counted, confined. Sometimes you even have to take a dump on command. If you refuse to follow the rules, there are consequences. Not just warnings or lectures, but isolation, restraint, even violence. But not all cages are made of bars. At some places, you're free to move and speak. Or so it seems. Every action is tracked, every message scanned, every step recorded by a web of surveillance and facial recognition. Say something online that the government doesn't like and it's post too many of the wrong opinions and your social score drops. Suddenly you can't buy a train ticket. You can't rent an apartment. Your children might be banned from better schools. You're not in a cell, but you're still being watched. Most people at this level obey, not because someone is yelling orders, but because the threat is always there. This is a different kind of force, one that doesn't chain your hands but rather shapes your behavior. You're free to walk, but only in the direction that's allowed. Level 3. Financially bound. At level 3, you've escaped direct control. No one tells you when to eat or when to go out into your yard, and you can post whatever offensive meme you want online. This is probably where you are, and where most people reside all their lives. You're finally free, at least on paper. But you've got a new boss now, and his name is money. Rent, bills, debt, groceries, it's all perfectly calibrated to keep you just barely afloat. You work full-time and still feel broke. Or maybe you're still in school, not because you want to, but because you have to. And the little money you get doesn't buy you much freedom. That next paycheck is keeping you on a tight leash, so how can you call yourself free? Sure, you might say survival always requires effort. Even a medieval hunter had to wake up and track rabbits just to eat. But here's the difference. That hunter answered to nature. You answer to a system that profits off your exhaustion. Your company, your landlord, your bank. The more you work, the more money they make. It's a philosophical debate whether or not you're truly free at this level. But one thing is certain. At level 3, money buys freedom. Freedom to take longer vacations, freedom to quit toxic jobs, freedom to say no. And until you can afford to walk away, you're still playing by someone else's rules. Level 4, false freedom. At this level, you've escaped survival mode. You're no longer living paycheck to paycheck. You've got some savings, a stable job, a strong portfolio. You could even retire early if you keep your lifestyle lean. Your net worth is between $500,000 to $5 million, depending on your age. This feels like freedom, and to be fair, this level isn't bad. In fact, a lot of people would be lucky to get here. You can live a good life at level 4, some peace of mind. Money is no longer your boss. You can finally afford to say no. So what's holding you back? Mostly you. You have choices, but you rarely question them. This is agency freedom, the ability to act, but not autonomous freedom, the ability to act by your own highest values. You're like a smoker who says he values his health but keeps lighting up. You're living but not aligned. You're not oppressed, but you're not fully alive either. You're looping through a life that's safe, predictable, familiar, and you've convinced yourself that's all freedom is. This is level 4, comfortable, stable, dull. A life that looks free, and could be as well, if you just let it.
It cut off before it got to the higher ones, but I feel like the lower ones are actually the most interesting ones, because it's like seeing how, like he was saying for level 3, how it feels like, yeah, you're free, but then you're still bound to like your bills, your debt and stuff like that. It's really crazy. I feel like that's where most of us align, including me. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all got to be making money somehow to fuel the system.
A 77-year-old man in Mexico received a terrifying demand from the cartel: abandon your home or die. But Alejo Garza Tamez wasn't just an ordinary man. He had built his ranch with his own hands, and no cartel was going to take it from him. So he doesn't call for help, he doesn't pack his bags. Instead, he carefully prepares for battle. Inside the house, Alejo methodically sets up his defense. He loads rifles, places shotguns at every window, and gathers ammunition. The old man moves with quiet determination, ready to fight for his land. At around 4 a.m., the sound of engines can be heard approaching. A convoy of cartel trucks stop outside the ranch. It was quiet until a gunshot filled the night. It was Alejo. He began to shoot multiple cartel members. Gunfire then rained down at the house from the cartel. Alejo moved room to room, using different weapons to make it seem like there were multiple shooters. The cartel scrambles for cover, confused and desperate. Minutes feel like hours, and the cartel were furious as many of their men were now dead. They then resorted to using grenades. They threw them at the house, but this didn't stop Alejo. He continued firing, taking down even more cartel members. After hearing the gunshots, authorities arrived and found only one man dead in the house, which was Alejo. But outside laid countless dead cartel members. Alejo Garza Tamez wasn't a soldier. He wasn't an outlaw. He was just a man who refused to kneel. His final stand became legend, a story of courage that Mexico would never forget.
Did you guys know that Jay-Z's birthday is December 4th, Diddy's birthday is November 4th, and Beyonce's birthday is September 4th? Jay-Z had an album 444, Leah died August 25th, Left Eye died April 25th, Michael Jackson died June 25th. In J. Cole's song, he says, rest in peace Aaliyah, rest in peace Left Eye, Michael Jackson, I'll see ya just as soon as I die. This is a song that has been trending, which is She Knows by J. Cole. A lot of people are saying She Knows sounds like Sean Knowles. Jay-Z's name is Sean, Diddy's name is Sean, just spelled differently. Beyonce's last name is Knowles. Sean Knowles, She Knows, Sean Knowles, She Knows. What is going on here? J. Cole also referenced Apple Pie, which is a Destiny's Child song named Apple Pie. Another crazy thing is when Beyonce made her country album, recently a country star shouted her out. Thank you, Beyonce, just like how everything, that we've been seeing on TikTok, the country star did it too.
I also just want to say, I'm a country artist, and the fact that Beyonce made a country record changed the game.
Beyonce.
So thank you.
That's crazy. Beyonce looks surprised. Is she really surprised?
I'm gonna go back to Nashville.
With the theory being that you have to thank Beyonce in order to be okay. It's just wild, and all of these theories coming together, I don't know if they make sense, but I think the craziest thing is JoJo Siwa thanking Beyonce.
Yeah, that thanking Beyonce thing is weird. I've heard about it so many times, and I've always just been like, that's super strange. But to be super super fair, Beyonce has been in the game since like probably all of those people have been like babies, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like Beyonce definitely deserves to get her roses, but at the same time it's a little bit sus how everyone is like, thank you Beyonce, like she's getting glazed way too much. But I also do understand this, so I'm not really too buggy about it. But let me know what you guys think about these videos. Peace out.
Thank you all for watching this here video. Please like and subscribe.